3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
From the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Monday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and as always, streaming on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN is the number to jump on in. That's 888-710-4476. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. A whole lot to do today. We'll have a conversation. I got a chance when I was filling in locally on the Fan in New York City yesterday to chop it up with my pal Stephon Marbury. That conversation was so good, previewing the Knicks and the Celtics game that will be coming your way tonight, that will play it for you right at about 5:35 p.m. Eastern time today. So a very good chat with Stephon Marbury that we'll get to later on in the show. But I got to start off with some football news that did come out over the weekend. Derek Carr is retiring. Now, I don't know about you guys. This is a bizarre story because there always seemed like we were waiting for the other shoe to fall, and there was always something that we weren't being told here. So out of nowhere, a little while back, we found out that Derek Carr may need to go through season-ending shoulder surgery. And it kind of came out of nowhere. It wasn't the injury that put him out for the rest of last season, at the end of last season. And the injury news came out from one Ian Rappaport, and we didn't think much of it, right? Like, Rap Sheet is one of those creme de la creme reporters. You take it for what it's worth. You read the report, and it didn't feel like there was anything nefarious going on. But at some point, you had Adam Schefter say, yeah, I think there's more to this story. So you have one guy in Rap Sheet, creme de la creme reporter, Adam Schefter, another creme de la creme reporter, probably the standard for the reporting business in the NFL, and the story never really did add up. And there was stuff going back to the contract where it felt like you were going to have Derek Carr that was going to be on this team for this upcoming season, and he seemed frustrated along the way. But then over the weekend, we find out that the surgery is needed or the injury is worse than what Derek Carr thought it was, and he's just going to walk away and retire and leave the NFL. So I have two thoughts on this. Here's my first thought, and I want to go to Stu first because Stu, right, is a Raider fan. At one point, Derek Carr was his quarterback, and then I think Stu is a sane Raider fan where a lot of people thought like Derek Carr got screwed over with the Raiders. I don't think so. It was time to move off of Derek Carr. The problem with Josh McDaniels, McDoofus, what he did with the Raiders, he's a brilliant offensive coordinator. He is a terrible, and I mean a terrible, head coach and manager of human beings. And McDaniels had this grand plan to get rid of Derek Carr. I get it. Derek Carr, to me, not a franchise quarterback. Derek Carr, to me, not a quarterback, forget winning a Super Bowl, that you could win like a playoff game with. And McDaniels had the right idea when he got to the Raiders to move off and end the relationship with Derek Carr. The problem was he thought he was going to get Tom Brady. And then Tom Brady retires. I don't know why they didn't go make a more of a serious push at the time for Aaron Rodgers, because Devontae Adams, remember, was already there. And even Rodgers, when he said he wanted to go to the Jets, McAfee, the rare time that he pressed Rodgers on something was bringing up Devontae Adams, and Aaron basically gave off the impression, and who knows if it's true or not with Aaron Rodgers, but he gave off the impression that Aaron Rodgers did not get a lot of contact and a lot of interest from Josh McDaniels. So the big plan, the big grand scheme, the big reward for the Raiders fan was to bring in Jimmy stinking Garoppolo. And I know Jimmy G got to a Super Bowl. I know Jimmy G, for the majority of that Super Bowl, outplayed Patrick Mahomes. But everyone knew that Jimmy G, that had like a brain. And I was always big when people were like my old boss, Spike Eskin. We used to get into a lot of debates about Jimmy G and Tom Brady. And Spike was like, you go with the younger player, you get rid of Tom Brady. And I said, Spike, Jimmy G, this was even before I knew Spike was going to be my boss, just when we were friendly, when he was when he was the program director at 94 WIP in Philly. And I was either doing film work or we were just staying in contact. And I said to Spike, I go, you realize that Jimmy G's not all that good. So it's like, why would you get rid of the greatest quarterback of all time for a quarterback that is injury prone and not all that good? But anyway, that was McDaniel's big plan. Jimmy G, which I don't even know if you could argue if that was a lateral move. You could definitely argue that was a downgrade from Derek Carr. So Josh McDaniels had the right intention of moving off of Derek Carr, but it was idiotic who he brought in. Now, with that being said, Carr goes to the Saints, and outside of Gary Myers, let's be real, I don't think anyone ever thought that Derek Carr was like this great quarterback when he was going to the New Orleans Saints. It was wholly overpay. So when this news comes out, Stu, and I know that at the end of his time in Vegas and with the Raiders, I think Carr became like a sympathetic figure where it was, oh, woe is me. And it's weird. Like, Derek Carr, I don't think is a bad dude. Derek Carr is not a horrible quarterback. You could be a lot worse than Derek Carr. You could also be a lot better. But it was always, I felt as if he wanted to play the woe is me card. And that just annoys me. Because, right, he thinks that he's a lot better than what he is. He thinks his bleep doesn't stink. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. right? You have to be confident. You got to be an alpha. You got to be a macho man to be a quarterback in the NFL. But the way that Derek Carr viewed himself outside of that one season where it looked like he could be the MVP of the league at one point, and then he got hurt, right? He was in the running for that. I never thought that Derek Carr was ever all that. He's a middle-of-the-road quarterback. Like, I don't think anyone ever looked at Derek Carr and consistently thought he would be a top 10 quarterback in this league. Heck, whenever someone would make the case that Derek Carr was a top 10 quarterback, he would stumble, he would fall on his face, and he would be about the 15th best quarterback in the league. Derek Carr, to me, is a 15 to 17 guy in the league. Statistically, you could take him. Statistically, you could be fine with him. But you're never going to have serious high expectations with Derek Carr as the quarterback. But with all that being said, when the news came out the other day that he was retiring, I am 1 foot in, 1 foot out still on Derek Carr. Like, quite frankly, I don't care about the future of Derek Carr whatsoever. But when I hear retiring and I hear him talk about the injury, I saw Hickey in the newsroom, Stu, and this is why I even feel more confident about this. And I said, do you actually believe that Derek Carr's done with football? And Hickey's like, yeah, of course. Like, Hickey doesn't even think the possibility of the other side of what's going on here. He's like, yeah, Derek Carr doesn't seem like that guy that would make it all about himself and would walk away because he's annoyed at the Saints and then come back a year later. Like, I really do believe at some point next offseason, we're going to get a news alert. And I don't know if there's going to be interest. Takes two to tango. But I think there's going to be a news alert out there where it is said, oh, Derek Carr is efforting a comeback to the NFL. And he's determined to be on a roster somewhere for what would be, wow, this is crazy to say, the 2026 NFL season. That's at least how I feel. So since Derek Carr at one point, Stu, was your guy before he was no longer your guy, what were your feelings? What were your emotions about Derek Carr retiring the other day? And what do you think about his future? Do you actually believe he's done in the NFL?
So I was surprised, as many people were. In terms of his future, I think he could try to come back, but who's going to want him? I think that's two different things. Like, I think we could see that headline next year, like Carr attempting comeback, but I don't know if there's going to be any takers. I don't think at this point it's worth it.
Well, that's fair. And that's why I said I think it takes two to tango here. But come on. David Carr tries to tell you that Derek Carr is Joe freaking Montana. All right? Or Tom Brady. Or Patrick Mahomes. Like, David Carr for years is pounding the desk on NFL Network. And I get it, it's his brother. But he's making it out as if Derek Carr is this greatest quarterback of all time. Like, I don't think the apple falls that far from the tree with David Carr, where then Derek Carr a year from now would be like, oh, I got a raw deal with the Saints. Oh, the Saints wanted to basically give up on me. The Saints weren't truthful at the end. They didn't even tell me about the whole salary and the conversion, the contract, and however that did go down that no one actually wants to hear and is really bored of. So let me get away from this organization. But let's be real right now. I don't want to call the Saints disastrous because the Saints are an organization that for years had Sean Payton, for years had Drew Brees, and they were always in the mix, right? They won that lone Super Bowl. There were some years where they didn't make the playoffs, right, for some stretches, but then they had that run where they really got back into the mix and they got screwed in that conference championship game and all that jazz. But ever since Drew Brees left the building, they just had their worst season at 5-12, which led to the firing of Dennis Allen. And you had Darren Rizzi. Wasn't he like talking about taking a number 2 or something before a game? What was that whole thing with Darren Rizzi? He clogged the toilet. That's what it was. He clogged the toilet before his first game as an NFL head coach. But before this 5-12, when the carpet really got pulled out from underneath them, with Sean Payton, and even for a little bit with Dennis Allen, 9-8, 7-10, 9-8. And then this year it came crashing down and burning at 5-12. But still, they didn't even have a top 5 draft pick when you look back at the Saints. So now they were picking 9th overall. So now when you bring in a new head coach in Kellen Moore, coming over from the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, for some reason, you still got Mickey Loomis there. The Saints, I think, were directionalists the last few years, where they weren't the worst team in the league, but they were nowhere close to the best team in the league. And they would just be like kind of nipping on the heels of the teams that would actually make the playoffs. To now, I feel like this is when the fall rebuild starts. Because does anyone believe that Tyler Shuck or Jake Hayner or Spencer Rattler is going to take the baton and run it to be the franchise quarterback of the New Orleans Saints? I do not. And this roster is now older. There's a lot of players that they paid that, quite frankly, are not worth the money. And now with Derek Carr not being there, I think Derek Carr also looked at it. Hey, I didn't like how things did go down at the end with the Saints, which I don't really know what he's so upset about and what he's bitching about. And also, I'm not 100%, so I'm going to use this injury to kind of rest up, reset the body. And then at the end of this year, it will be, do I want to come back and play? And also, will anyone want me as a quarterback? But with all that being said, this is the other part of the story. Carr walking away and the Saints having to rely on the trio of Shuck, Haener, and Rattler. That sounds like a law firm, by the way. You know, if I ever get into a litigious situation, I'm calling Shuck, Haener, and Rattler. That would be the law firm that I would be hitting on up. It does feel like this is going to be a bottom 5 team in the NFL this year. Now, with that being said, there were teams last year. There was a team specifically that we all thought was going to be a bottom 5 team in the NFL last year, and that was the Denver Broncos, but they ended up hitting gold in the draft, which no one but Sean Payton realized it, in Bo Nix at the time. And we saw what the Broncos ended up doing. They ended up going to the playoffs last year as a 7 seed, where they ended up losing the Buffalo Bills as a 2 seed on Wild Card Weekend. Now it feels like the Saints are going to be one of the 5 worst teams in the NFL, so it does feel like they're starting that march for Arch. Now, it's not a foregone conclusion that Arch Manning's going to be coming out of Texas at the end of this year and going to the NFL draft, but you're in the hunt to go get a future franchise quarterback, and you could try this year like Tyler Shuck should start. Right? Use a second-round pick on him. He's old enough. Let's see what he's got. Let's see if he can stay healthy. I'm not a believer in him, but you make that one-year evaluation, and you should be in the top 5 next year, where even if you don't get Arch Manning, and let's say Arch Manning either goes 1 and you're not the worst team in the league, or if Arch Manning says, I'm going back to Sark for another year at Texas, this quarterback draft class for this upcoming season is supposed to be good. You know, who knows who's going to pan out with Cade Klubnik and Drew Aller and Lenore Sellers, just to name a few. But this is more of a highly thought of quarterback draft class than the one that we just had, where you did get to see, obviously, with the first overall pick, Cam Ward go. And then you did have, what was it, at 25? It was Jackson Dart also go in the first round. Like, there should be 3 quarterbacks, or bare minimum 2 quarterbacks in the top 5, in the top 10 when we get to the NFL draft of 2026. But you look at the bottom 5 rosters in the NFL that need a quarterback too. Like the Browns, even though they have so many quarterbacks right now, but no one that's a foregone conclusion that will definitely be their starter, even though I believe in Shedeur Sanders. Tennessee just took their quarterback. The Colts, I don't think, will be a bottom 5 team. Stu, do you put your Raiders in the mix for a bottom 5 roster in the NFL? Or with Geno Smith, do you think like the Raiders will be like a 7 or 8 win team?
I think they're probably in that like 6-7 range, so they're probably just outside the top 5.
Okay. The Giants could be bottom 5, but they just drafted Jackson Dart. No one in the NFC North. The NFC South, definitely the Saints. All right, I would say the Saints are the team with the least optimistic future there. Tampa Bay has Baker. They got Godwin. They got Evans. They just drafted Emeka Ibuka. The Falcons, you have the intrigue of Michael Penix Jr. You got Bijan Robinson. The Panthers, at least there's that intrigue there now with Bryce Young. I'll tell you, trying to find the 5 worst teams in football right now, it's tough to do. It really is. Like, you could argue, and how many people said, oh, the Patriots have been the biggest winners this offseason? You could argue the Patriots are a bottom 5 team in the NFL entering this season. Now, I think they'll be improved under Mike Vrabel, but that roster is not great still. So you look around here. If you had to handicap right now, who's going to be picking number 1 in the draft? Would anyone disagree that it's going to be the Saints right now? I don't think that's a stretch. Like, I would be shocked if the Saints aren't bare minimum a bottom 5 team in the NFL this year. Like, I would be absolutely shocked. So I think Carr retiring really lets you rip off the Band-Aid. Who knows what his NFL future will be, because I'm not sold that he's definitely going to be out. But now you get a 17-game audition for Tyler Shuck, and if he doesn't end up living up to the hype, which I don't anticipate him doing so, I don't like him as a second-round quarterback. No one when the NFL, when the college regular season ended last year, no one said, oh, Tyler Shuck is going to be a second-round quarterback, right? Most people thought he was a 4th, 5th-round pick, if you were even talking about him. And the guy goes in the second round? Come on. What are we doing? So I would anticipate the Saints are going to be bottom 5, bottom 3, maybe even 1, and then they'll be able to get their pick of the litter, really, to see who's going to be that quarterback that's going to emerge as the guy coming up in this NFL draft class for this upcoming season. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. So Derek Carr is going to the retirement home from now. Someone that's nowhere close to the retirement home is Giannis Antetokounmpo. But he could be leaving his home in Milwaukee, and he could be going somewhere else. Is Giannis about to be on the move? We'll discuss that next when the Zach Gelb Show continues on a very busy Monday right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
The NBA Draft Lottery is tonight. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Stu, I'll tell you, I'm addicted to a few things, obviously. The Tankathon Draft Simulator, just pressing that, is so fun. And I don't even have skin in the game for this draft lottery. As you have the Jazz, the Wizards, and Charlotte. They have the 3 highest odds. Then it's the Pelicans, followed by the Sixers, the Nets, Toronto, and San Antonio. Those are the 8 highest odds to get the number 1 overall pick as we currently sit. So if I press the simulator button right now, number 1 would be New Orleans, number 2 would be Washington, number 3 would be Philly, number 4 would be Utah, number 5 would be Charlotte, number 6 would be Brooklyn, number 7 would be Toronto, number 8 would be San Antonio, and then who cares? So that's how it would be. Now, if I press it one more time, 1 Charlotte, 2 Houston via Phoenix, Portland, Brooklyn, Utah, Washington, New Orleans, Philadelphia would lose it to OKC. Oh, these are funky. Toronto, and San Antonio. I'll tell you, if you could just take a random team here and say, give them the number 1 overall pick, how fun would it be if San Antonio, who right now has a 6% chance to land the number 1 overall pick, if they go get the number 1 overall pick, where right now they have Victor Wembanyama, who the blood clots is a concern, but we all know his potential. You got De'Aaron Fox. You also have Stephen Castle, who is unbelievable. Castle. He's a really good player. I saw him obviously at UConn, but seeing him live in person when I was down in San Antonio for the Final Four, and I ditched Stu for a little bit to go to San Antonio Spurs game with my buddy. Castle is a joy to watch. And if they go get Cooper Flagg, hello, that would be something. So San Antonio, maybe the league says, you know what, it's Pop's going away present. You know, having him end up his coaching career, now going to the president of basketball operations, give them the number 1 overall pick. But I saw today that the Spurs could actually be a player for Giannis Antetokounmpo if he's on the move. Now, I would imagine they have to trade Castle to get Giannis would be my guess. But if you could get Giannis, if you could get Wemby, and you could get De'Aaron Fox on the same team, holy smokes. That's a heck of a basketball team. The Spurs are one of those up-and-coming teams. If they could just stay healthy, and if they play their next 2 off seasons right, they could be like a team that goes from 0 to 100, just like how you saw the Oklahoma City Thunder the last few years. So that's going to be something that's going to be interesting tonight. I'm an addict for a good sports game, especially when you live in the city and there's a vibe in this city. So I've been fortunate. I'm fortunate enough where I don't have to pay to go to a lot of sports games. Right through the job, whether I'm covering it or people be like, hey, I'm going to bring you to the game. So my buddy that usually takes me right behind the bench, he's going with his wife tonight, right? Nothing I could do there. I have another friend who's been kind enough. He has a suite at the Garden, and he's got me a lot of tickets to Ranger playoff games. But he called me up tonight. He goes, are you going to the Knicks game? I'm like, no, I'm not going. Or he called me actually over the weekend. I'm like, I'm not planning on going. And he goes, well, I have the suite. I had to give all my tickets to clients, but if you get in, I can get you up to the box. So I was like, okay. So I just got to buy the cheapest ticket in the building, get me to the box? He goes, yeah. So I looked at the prices before Game 3, Stu. And it started with a 1, and it wasn't 100, all right? So I was looking for like $1,100, $1,200 a ticket. I'm not paying $1,100, $1,200 a ticket to get into round 2, game 4 at the Mecca, right? So Knicks get blown out on Saturday, which, by the way, Saturday was actually a very fun day. Carlos with the K and I, we went to Mason Jar in the city. We had hot wings with blue cheese. We had Cajun dry rub wings with blue cheese, French fries, jalapeno cornbread, and we had a few cervezas. So we were sitting down there, we were drinking a bunch of beer, having wings, doing what men do best. Wings, beer, sports, blue cheese, French fries, right? That's what we were doing. And someone that is a listener to this show, Billy, who's a great listener, took me to a Rangers game last year. I said, oh, he loves this place, Mason Jars. 2 fraternity brothers found it. They opened it. I go, if you're around, feel free to join Carlos with a K and I. So Billy came, we watched the Knicks game. The Knicks got stomped out by the Boston Celtics. Let's be real. The Knicks really had no business winning the first 2 games, let alone winning both of those games. Like, it's amazing how they were down 20 once and came back, then down 20 twice and came back and won both those games. So for game 3, I made one bet. And I was very confident with this bet. Jalen Brunson over 26.5 points. He had 6 points at the end of the first quarter. So not trending to hit that over, but not impossible. But the Knicks were down so many points. The Knicks were down 30 at one point. And when they were down 20 for the 3rd game in a row, I even tweeted out, there's no way the Knicks are going to do this 3 games in a row. There's no way the defending champion Boston Celtics are going to let the Knicks do that 3 games in a row. So I ended up just clearing the bet because Brunson finished with 27. And I was just waiting for them to pull him in the 4th quarter when the game was out of reach. The game was out of reach before the start of the 4th quarter. Usually it misses a few minutes. And then boom, Brunson hits that little jumper right in front of the basket, little bunny. And I ended up hitting the bet. So we went from there. Game ended at 6 o'clock. We were going to take the 7 line to Citi Field because Carlos is a big Cubs fan. Mets are playing the Cubs, all that stuff. I said to Carlos, let's walk 13 minutes, go to Penn Station. Take the LIRR, cleaner train, easier ride. You don't have to deal with everyone on the subway. 18 minutes right to Citi Field. We walk in. Carlos's wife, by the way, huge Mets fan. She bought you know how you bought that standing room only Yankee season pass?
Yes.
I guess they sell those for the Mets. She bought them for the Mets.
Okay.
So Carlos with the K's wife was there. Carlos with the K obviously was there. And I was there. So we had a very fun time at the Mets game. Carlos likes to talk a lot of smack during the games. A lot of smack. I was just begging for someone to just pop him in the mouth, honestly. I had no problem if they punch him, but also he's a Marine, so probably not good if you ended up punching a Marine. That would not be good. But I said to Carlos with a K, here's what I kept on chirping him with. Because Carlos was so pumped up earlier in the week when he found out that he thought the Pope was a Cubs fan. So anytime the Cubs did something positive, I just kept on saying, Pope's a Sox fan. Pope's a Sox fan. So we had a bunch of beers at the game. The filet mignon cheesesteak, the Pat LaFrida filet mignon cheesesteak at Citi Field, right? You had, Stu, when we went to the Yankee.
Yeah, it's great.
Very good. They now have loaded steak fries at the Pat LaFrida stand. Delicious. So I had that. Then said goodbye to Carlos after the Cubs beat the Mets. Took the subway home. Hard hat guy, not all the time. I can't be a hard hat guy all the time. There, I had to be a hard hat guy. Take the subway home, blue collar, right, and get back to my apartment. Then I fell asleep, and then Sunday was hosted on the Fan, and then I eventually had to go out to Long Island. Big calorie weekend. I'll tell you, I went out to Long Island for like 4 hours. Went to Menino's, big Italian dinner. Said hello to Mom, said hello to my sister and my niece, my brother-in-law, my grandfather, my dad, and then took the train right back into the city. I got back in the city last night at 10 o'clock. City was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I walked home from Penn Station to my financial district apartment, burned off some of that calories, did the elliptical today to try to fight off the Carlos with the K day on Saturday, and then all the calories that I did intake on Sunday. But anyway, I told you before game 3, the cost for game 4 was $1,200. The tickets plummeted to $700. And I'm like, $700 is still a bunch for a playoff game. But I'm like, the Rangers didn't make the playoffs this year. And I go, there's a suite. It's a big event, big sport event. I go, let me see what they are in the morning. What do you think? I ended up securing a ticket for tonight. What do you think the cheapest ticket in the house as of 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern time was for the New York Knicks up against the Boston Celtics with the series on the line. Let's be real. If the Knicks win tonight, I think they're winning the series. If the Celtics win tonight, I think the Celtics are winning in 6 games. I think that this will be like when the Rangers up against, it was the Tampa Bay Lightning, where they took the first 2 and they didn't win another game the rest of the series. So I really do feel like this is the series on the line tonight between the Celtics and the Knicks, which has been a fun series to watch. What do you think the secondary get-in price was at the cheapest ticket available?
I'll say $620.
Okay, good guess. Samter? Little Price is Right action here?
I'm going to go lower. If 7 was too high, I don't think 6 you would have gotten it for. So I'm going to go $450.
So if I had a coupon, does that not count? Like, you want what the actual price was. So the cheapest ticket I found was $636, and then I had a $20 off coupon, so it cost $616 to get into the building tonight. So that's what I ended up doing to get into Madison Square Garden tonight. I just want the ambiance of this game. Let me tell you, if I go to this game tonight, and I don't, like, if the Knicks lose, the Knicks lose. But if this is not a close game, and this is a blowout, you had people spend like $1,200. The cheapest ticket on Game 3 I saw was $975 on the secondary market right before the game. And that game was over in a snap of a finger. When Axe started going to sporting events, how much was a ticket for a playoff game? Like $3?
I wouldn't say that, but it wasn't.
$15?
My ticket, I'll tell you this. My ticket for Super Bowl 23.
It's a Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Who played in that Super Bowl?
That was the Bengals and the Niners. John Taylor.
Was that the Boomer interception Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, 34 seconds left. He got back to the
I'm just teasing. Boomer was having some fun at my expense this morning on his show, so having a little fun back.
But that ticket, I sat in the third row of the end zone. Third row
end zone.
Yes, that was $100.
Oh my goodness gracious! My nosebleeds to get in a Super Bowl now is like $1,000.
My ticket for Game 7 of the 1986 World Series. Well, I want to say it was $30. It was certainly no more than $45.
Oh, my God.
And my ticket for Game 7 of the 1994 Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, can I guess?
Go ahead.
Game 7, 1994 Stanley Cup Final against Vancouver.
Now I'm in the 300s.
Oh, you're in the 300s?
Yes, with your uncle.
Take a timeout. here.
Yeah.
Where were you in life at that point in 1994?
I was 25. I was actually living in Chicago.
Okay, so you already went to school with Kenny Albert, whose dad did the games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that how you got the ticket for Face or no?
No, Kenny did the game. He bought a strip. He bought a strip of about 10.
And did you get one?
I got one, yes.
Okay. Where my uncle was sitting with Bill Walton.
Yeah, it was right in front of me.
Oh, really? How'd you see? Not with my uncle. He's a small guy.
I've told you the line. My friend who was next to me, who was representing Kenny at the time, and representing Bill, says, "Bill, what are you doing here?" And he just turns around and looks at him and goes,
"I'm trying to figure that out myself."
He goes, "When there's a championship to be won, I'm in the building." Just like that.
All righty. So Game 7, Stanley Cup Final, 1994. You're in the 300 section. Those are the blue seats, right?
Green. At that time, yes.
I'm going to say $88.
Not even half.
Oh, my God.
Actually, more than half, I should say. $40.
Oh, my God.
Best bargain ever.
Second round, Madison Square Garden. I'm saying Game 4 tonight, secondary market.
Yes.
For the worst seat in the house, just to get in the building when I go up a luxury box.
Yeah.
It was like 6:30 or something like that. What did I say? 6:36. I forget what it was. That's crazy. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yep. I wish I was born like 30 years. I was born 30 years ago. I wish I was born 50 years ago.
Well, I had a friend in college, and for a long time this was the case. You know, you could probably make the case until MetLife Stadium opened. But I remember in college, we used to go to the Giant games you'd scalp tickets for $15, $20, which was not much more than face. A friend of mine had season tickets in the middle ring, which was really a great seat. Mm-hmm. And the season tickets were, I think it was $11 a ticket per game.
God. It's obnoxious. Hey, real quickly here. Who do you think has the highest odds right now, according to Bovada, to get Giannis Antetokounmpo? It's a 3-way tie. three-way tie. So you got 3 potential correct answers here. Stu, give me one.
Spurs.
That would be inaccurate.
Really?
I don't even see the Spurs. Now, I've heard people say that the Spurs could be like the lead destination. According to Bovada, via, is this the real NBA? What is that account?
NBA Sentinel.
Yeah. So this is the actual one. They do not have the Spurs listed in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams that they've posted. Samter?
I'm going to go Houston Rockets.
They do not have the Houston Rockets listed as well.
Something doesn't feel right.
Oh, boy.
Did you get Sentinel?
No. I was looking at this before I got on.
You look at the lottery odds, aren't you?
No. I was looking at this before I got on, like, this segment, and it reloaded on my Twitter, and I just did NBA Sentinel odds. This is funny. These odds are for Austin Reeves. It's the Knicks, the Heat, and the Clippers, all at plus 400. Because I'm looking at this, and then I see the fourth, I'm like, the Milwaukee Bucks. So anyway, we'll talk Giannis on the other side. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Oh, I have the, you know what? We'll do it on the other side. I already teased it. Santa, who'd you say?
I said the Rockets.
Okay. Who'd you say, Stu?
I said the Spurs.
Okay. And Ack, who do you think has the highest odds to land Giannis Antetokounmpo if he gets traded?
I'd say the Rockets.
Okay.
Rockets or Thunder.
One of you are right, and one of you got the other team right. So, who guessed 2 teams? I wonder who that is. What a radio tease, folks. Oh, my God. Temple University may take my degree back after this. All righty, we're coming on back. We'll talk Giannis next. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within an inch with their easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. The NFL will open the 2025 season Thursday, September 4th, and we have the opponent for the defending Super Bowl champs. The Eagles will celebrate their latest Super Bowl victory and open their title defense against their bitter rival, the Dallas Cowboys. It's the first time since 2000 they will open the season against each other. Browns linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah will miss the entire 2025 season due to a neck injury that has his career in doubt right now. Trey Hendrickson told ESPN he has not had any contact with the Bengals since the draft, and the team has not been communicative. The Jazz, Wizards, and Hornets all share the best odds at winning tonight's NBA draft lottery. They are each at 14%. The winner will be announced. Cooper Flag, the big prize in this year's draft. The Knicks host the Celtics, looking to regain a 2-game lead in the series after dropping Game 3. The second part of tonight's doubleheader has the Warriors hosting the Timberwolves down 2-1 and without Steph Curry again. 2 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hurricanes host the Capitals up 2-1. The Oilers up 2-1 on the Golden Knights. I'm Rich Acker.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it's time to ask the pros. You're the listener who gets to ask us a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sports Center at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I haven't had, I'll use a Mraz term here, an oopsie on the air in a very long time. Now, the way that Mraz used that is very differently than I'm using that. I did not go a number 2 in my underwear, but I'm reading these odds for the next destination of Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I realized the link that I clicked was for Austin Reeves. And I'm like, I'm having Stu and Samter give good guesses. And I'm like, I don't even see those in the top 12. So anyway, updated odds, DraftKings Sportsbook, on Giannis Antetokounmpo's next team if he requests a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks. This is from Forbes. Evan, how do you say this guy's last name? Sidri? Sidri? Whatever. He's got the odds, though. And it's for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Rockets at plus 950. Thunder at plus 1,000. See, Stu and Sam are like, we had good guesses. That Gelb guy, that bloviating jackass. Warriors at plus 1,100. Spurs at plus 1,200. Nets at plus 1,600. Lakers at plus 1,800. Suns at plus 1,800. And the Heat at plus 2,000. Let's hear from Shams Charania, who he was on to ESPN earlier today. He says Giannis is finally open to potentially moving off of the Bucks and considering a trade.
Sources tell me that Giannis Antetokounmpo, for the first time in his career, is open-minded about exploring whether his best fit moving forward is outside of Milwaukee. So whether he's going to remain as a Milwaukee Buck or move on potentially, he's going to explore that, spend time exploring that. And this is really the summit of Giannis Antetokounmpo here in Chicago. You have all 30 teams, all 30 decision makers here, agents here, and those conversations will be naturally substantive and free-flowing. He is the biggest domino in the NBA right now.
I think this is fascinating because I have been someone that has never taken the bait ever in terms of seeing Giannis Antetokounmpo leave the Milwaukee Bucks. But now, I think this is the first time I'm actually taking it seriously that this could be it for Giannis Antetokounmpo in the offseason. Or maybe at some point during next season. So he has 2 years left on his deal before the player option. Because if you're the Bucks, you can't wait unless if you get a guarantee to wait to the player option in 2027, 2028. So you got 2025, 2026, and 2026, 2027. I think if Giannis is on the Bucks at the end of this upcoming season, then he's in Milwaukee for a lot longer. But if he gets traded by the deadline or even before the start of the season, then obviously that's it for Giannis in Milwaukee. With all that being said, though, here's why I think that this is going to happen. Giannis, every time this trade conversation has popped up, which to be fair, he has brought it up before. Right? He has said some misleading things in the past where you could construe it in multiple different ways. But the Bucks have always made a move, whether it was winning a championship or then going out and acquiring Dame Lillard. With the resources they used to go get Dame Lillard, and now Dame Lillard dealing with he had blood clots and then the Achilles. Where are the Bucks going? What's the last-ditch desperation effort to keep Giannis this time around? Or present Giannis with a championship contending team. Because the Bucks have always been really good the last few years, but they have just quickly burned out of the postseason. And this past year, let's be honest, going into the playoffs, no one is really all gung-ho and optimistic on the Milwaukee Bucks. And it's amazing some of the moves that they made. Like, it's one thing to get rid of Gentry when they did, but to bring in Doc Rivers? Really? Doc Rivers? That's who you bring in? And I think that was more so the Haslam stepping on him and forcing Doc Rivers there. But I like John Horst. I like Peter Fagan a lot, the GM and president of the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know how they pull a rabbit out of the hat this time. And it's going to be fascinating to see not only where Giannis will want to go, but who's going to be able to go get Giannis Antetokounmpo? Because you look at these odds right now, I could see why he would want to go to the Rockets. They need one extra piece to get them over the hump. I could see why he would consider teaming up with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Does he want to go to the Warriors? I don't know how the Warriors would do that. I would imagine they'd have to get rid of Jimmy Butler. Or do you keep Jimmy Butler, Steph, and you finally get rid of Draymond Green? But what's going to be the appeal of the Milwaukee Bucks getting back, Draymond Green and Jonathan Kuminga? Is that what we're doing? So I understand why Giannis would go to the Warriors. I don't say the Warriors get that deal done. The Spurs would be fascinating. If you could put together Wemby, and then you pick between either Fox or Castle who you want to say goodbye to, and you have Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Nets have a ton of picks, but what do the Nets currently have on their roster? You look at a team like the Los Angeles Lakers, Stu. Is there a way for the Lakers to go get Giannis Antetokounmpo? All right, you got Luka, you got Giannis, and they're very friendly. Or no, that's Luka and Nikola Jokic who are very friendly. But I don't think Giannis has any beef with Luka Doncic, or any that I know of. And then LeBron's still there, but like, what are the Lakers going to give up to go get Giannis? Like what would be the appealing part that the Lakers has right now to go get Giannis Antetokounmpo still?
I guess Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect and whatever picks they have left that they didn't trade to Dallas. So I don't know. It's probably not enough.
As Randy Jackson once said, that's a no for me, dog. Like, what are the Suns going to do? Like, I'm not taking Kevin Durant if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks. Miami's interesting, but what do you have to give up? Like, you have Bam, you got Tyler Hero. What team are you going to be able to build unless you just bring in Giannis and you hope he attracts stars also to Miami? So it's going to be fascinating to see. And, I know that the Knicks will get thrown out there, but the Knicks don't have picks anymore. So unless if you're giving up Mikal Bridges, which I would give up in a second, to go get Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're going to have to give up more than that. So the destinations here, I think you look from a basketball standpoint, Rockets and Thunder, but then also, and the Spurs too, but then what does Giannis want? And I would think Giannis want to go to a place where he go win a championship. So could he force and place somewhere where the picks and the returns aren't that strong? And does he want to just say, I'll go to the Lakers and I'll team up with Luka and we'll be the guys that end up replacing LeBron James? Real quickly, here's Brian Windhorst on the ESPN on the potential Giannis trade.
Two things you have to know about the Bucks when you consider a trade. Number one, the Bucks do not control their first-round pick for 5 years. That means if the Bucks are going to trade him, thinking that they're going to tank for the next 3 years and rebuild is not going to happen. They need quality players, and the other thing that you need to know is if you're going to trade Giannis to a team that's going to be a super team, getting that team's draft assets is not exciting because they're not going to be very high picks for the next few years. San Antonio and Houston, San Antonio and Houston. Pay attention there. And the other thing is Brooklyn, because Brooklyn has Phoenix's future drafts, but Brooklyn's current players, not that strong, not as exciting of a player acquisition. The other team to watch, the New Orleans Pelicans.
Ooh. I would say San Antonio, Houston, San Antonio, Houston, Houston, San Antonio, right, to channel my inner Windy. What am I telling you with the fingers? And when I also look at another potential destination for Giannis, if it's not San Antonio or Houston, it's kind of like, Oklahoma City would make a ton of sense. All righty, we'll come on back a little onside, offside. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You'll hear from Stephon Marbury coming up at 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time today. I watched two documentaries recently. One is kind of oldish now. The other was just released. I ended up watching that Chiefsaholic. I think it was on my flight to Vegas. You got some crazy people, by the way. But, like, the fact that that dude thought, like, he was actually a big deal in the Chiefs' kingdom. And I always thought, like, super fans and things like that to be crazy. But how he would be going around from city to city, state to state, and robbing banks to basically, I don't know, fund his Chiefs fandom and then also pay off his gambling debts. It's just a wild story. But then the people that they interviewed in that documentary were just some of the craziest of crazies that were also like Chiefs super fans. And then I never got this part. While he was on the run, his mother was also like on the run, but they weren't going after her. And this investigator that I guess that they hired, like the family that helped, that represented him. Did you watch his Chiefsaholic, Santa, at all? No? Oh, you were giggling. That's why I thought you watched it and you knew where I was going here. She would be like urinating in bags and then leaving them in the car that they abandoned, but he was on the run somewhere else, and then she was, I don't know why she was on the run. So that was, the whole thing was bizarre. I also watched the Shooting Guards documentary. I think that's what it's called, with Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton. Now, I didn't know this. And we all remember what happened, right? The guns in the locker room and then them both getting suspended. Gilbert Arenas eventually made a return to the NBA. Javaris Crittenton got like some tryouts somewhere else, and then they ended up getting rid of him. But we all know what eventually happened. Javaris Crittenton, who thought it was smart to basically play like hitmen, in real life, he got robbed or something, and then he tried to go, I guess you could say, make amends for it or get a little payback. And then he went to go shoot the person that robbed him. And then he hit, unfortunately, a mother of 4. Right? Like, I remember when this happened, and it was just like the scum of the earth in Javaris Crittenton. He only served 10 years in prison. He was supposed to serve 22. He's out. Because when I first heard this, I'm like, they're doing a documentary of Gilbert Arenas. Sam, to do me a favor, can you just pull up what the name of the documentary is again? I think it's called Shooting Guards. But they were doing a documentary with Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton. And I go, what are they just going to be interviewing? It is Shooting Guards on Netflix. Thank you. I go, what are they going to be just doing a documentary with him like in jail? He got out. So you want to know how he got out? Or what the theory is that they float in this documentary? I didn't know this, but Javaris Crittenton, I guess, was high school teammates with Dwight Howard. The DA on the case was Dwight Howard's uncle. So the mother, who gave like a really emotional interview, I felt horrible for her, of the mother of the lady, I forget her name, who unfortunately got hit and murdered by Javaris Crittenton, the mother of 4. They were interviewing her mother, and they said, hey, usually when these things coming out, when they let someone out early, they usually talk to the family if that's okay. And she said, nope, we just got a message one day that he was out early. And he got out after 10 years when he was supposed to serve 22 if he did some things in jail, like he was eligible to get out early. But I guess that deal was kind of made with the DA, who was Dwight Howard's uncle, which I didn't think that was going to be the connection there. But if you got, I think it's like an hour 30, it's 90 minutes max. If you got 90 minutes, it was a very, very, very interesting documentary where you hear from Javaris Crittenton, you hear from Gilbert Arenas, and also, unfortunately, the mother of the lady who was murdered by Javaris Crittenton and many others. So it's weird to say that's a good watch, but it was a compelling watch. It was definitely something I thought was worthwhile. Anyway, without further ado, I'm not talking about Freddie Adu. It's time to do a little onside, offside on this Monday. Stu's got some questions for me. I'll try to give you some answers on this very busy Monday edition of the Zach Gelb Show. Stu, take it away.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, Stu, what do we got cooking?
All right, so the NFL has announced the opening game for the 2025 season, and as usual, the Super Bowl champions are involved. The Eagles will host their NFC East rival, Dallas Cowboys, on Thursday, September 4th. So onsides, offsides, this is the best possible opening game matchup for the league.
It's not a bad one, don't get me wrong. It's Eagles-Cowboys, and also you have to have Jerry Jones go into the stadium, so he gets to see the Eagles raise another championship banner. But you look at the home games for the Philadelphia Eagles: Giants, Commanders, Bears, Lions, Broncos, Raiders, Rams. I understand the fan appeal of doing it Eagles-Cowboys, but if you tell me, okay, neutral guy like me, let's just say, Thursday Night Football, open up the season, you got the Eagles at the link, I would rather see them go up against the Lions. I would rather even see an NFC Championship game rematch up against the Washington Commanders. Or even so, I'd be intrigued as a football fan. What do the Bears look like? Give them the standard. Give them the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, where you have Chicago with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and company. So I think those three destinations or those three potential matchups would have been better than just saying, oh, we'll put the Cowboys and the Eagles on Thursday Night Football to open up the season. So this is the best possible opening game matchup for the league. I would go offside.
Offside.
We're continuing an offside streak. I think I went 7 on Friday.
Yeah, you're 7 of 7 on Friday.
Now this is 8 in a row. This is in the history of the Zach Gelb Show, the most offsides I've ever done in a row. We'll see if we'll break the streak here.
All right, so speaking of the drama, Dallas choking Cowboys, their new wide receiver acquisition is already making noise. In a response to a post about Steelers players Beanie Bishop and Peyton Wilson, George Pickens tweeted, and then since has deleted, a comment saying, quote, "The Steelers are the cheapest organization. Ain't no stacking year after year.
Oh, boy.
They're going to let them," and he says the N-words, "go too soon as it's time," end of quote. Onside offsides, Pickens will be disgruntled in Dallas before Week 10.
Yeah, onside. Here's why. George Pickens is an ass. All right, he's a heck of a football player. He's a good football player. Let's not go heck. He's a good football player. But he thinks he's Jerry Rice. So I look at George Pickens, or he thinks he's Terrell Owens. He thinks he's Chad Ochocinco. He thinks he's Randy Moss. Those are probably better fair-off comparisons in terms of guys that came with a lot of baggage and, were problems in the locker room and things like that, instead of just throwing Jerry Rice out there. But in terms of the talent, he thinks he's Jerry Rice, and he ain't. There's the hot take of the day. So now you're putting him in Dallas, where who knows if Dak Prescott could make it through a full season. And you also have CeeDee Lamb there. The Cowboys could win games, and if George Pickens doesn't get his target, then he's going to be upset if he doesn't get his catches. So do I think he'll be disgruntled in Dallas before Week 10? Will there be a moment, especially when you're in a culture where they beg for drama, where George Pickens will have one outburst from the start of the season until Week 10? Yeah, I think so. So the offside streak is over. We go onsides.
All right, so over the weekend, the Browns hosted their rookie minicamp with all eyes mostly on Shedeur. Although Dylan Gabriel got the first snap at quarterback, and after the practice, Gabriel was open about competing with Shedeur.
You're coming in here as the third-round pick. Shedeur's coming in as the fifth-round pick, yet he brings a lot of the social media and the entourage and the hype and all the hoopla and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So what is your sort of mindset or approach to that whole notion of that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, life of simplicity is a life full of, focus. Life of, complexity comes with life of distractions, but for me, I'm focused. I'm simple. I know what I want to accomplish.
With that, though, what was your reaction when you found out they did draft Shedeur after they drafted you?
Yeah, I love it. I love it because of who it is. I think just for us both, you can learn from one another, but also it's not just us two in the room, at least for right now it is, but, going into the year, Kenny, Joe, and even Deshaun, just a bunch of guys who played a bunch of ball that we can all learn from one another.
So on to offsides, Gabriel will start the season higher on the depth chart than Shedeur.
I did see today, and remember, this is rookie minicamp. So, who gives a crap at minicamp, excuse me. But it was Zach Jackson. He joined the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And he said, they asked him who was better between the two quarterbacks, and it was Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel. And he said, it's not close. Shedeur Sanders. Now, you have guys standing around in shorts and a T-shirt. Let's be real. Shedeur's shorts are probably worth $700 to begin with. Dylan Gabriel's probably wearing $12.99 shorts, if we're just being honest. So it's not surprising that Shedeur Sanders looks better. And also, here's a little news flash for you. I would anticipate Shedeur Sanders looking better instead of the low-hanging fruit joke on the close, because Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback in terms of how most of us projected this to be when we went into the NFL draft. So logically, you would think, right, I'm going to say Shedeur should be number 2 over Dylan Gabriel, and I do believe that. But the Browns have this sick obsession over Dylan Gabriel. They took him in the 3rd round when no one else was going to. And they had him as his second quarterback, right? It was Nathan Zagora who told us they had him as second quarterback after Cam Ward. So I do believe the quarterback battle's really between Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. One will win the job, the other will get released. And then I think the Browns, because they love Gabriel so much, are going to put Gabriel 2 and then Shedeur Sanders 3 on the depth chart. So Gabriel will start the season higher on the depth chart than Shedeur. It shouldn't be the case, but I think it will because of how much the Browns love him, and they've already tipped that hand. So I will go onsides.
All right, Jordan Hudson was not with Bill Belichick.
Oh, I'm so tired of this conversation with Jordan Hudson. I'm being. Anytime someone mentions the name Jordan Hudson right now, it's immediate. Just turn off the radio for me. But we continue the question. Don't turn off your radio, folks.
Well, she was competing in the Miss Maine beauty pageant over the weekend. Unfortunately, she finished second runner-up, crushing her hopes of competing in...
So she finished third? Second runner-up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so third place. So that crushed her hopes of competing and winning in Miss USA. On to offsides. Hudson will be a distraction for Bill and UNC all season long.
I guess eventually we'll have to start caring about the games. But I understand why this is a headline, Stu. But you have people that are like, oh, this is a distraction that Bill Belichick went to his girlfriend's beauty pageant? Like, isn't that what any significant other would do? If your significant other was at a big event, you would go. Now, I thought the biggest loser here was the father of Jordan Hudson having to sit next to Belichick. Like, that just didn't look right. What are they talking about? Because that's got to be bizarre. If your daughter is 24 and she's dating someone that's 73, you probably have a lot in common in terms of just you grew up in the same time, but that's got to be bizarre knowing that dude's going home. Even though he's the greatest coach of all time, that dude's going home with your daughter. Hudson will be a distraction for Bill and UNC all season long. I feel like this is just one of those stories that people aren't going to let it get away. So, yeah, I guess I'll go on sides here.
All right, a few years back, TNT landed the great one, Wayne Gretzky, to serve as an analyst on their NHL coverage, while Fox landed the NFL GOAT Tom Brady. Well, NBC is doing them one better, announcing today that Michael Jordan will be a special contributor next season as they return to broadcasting NBA games. Onside offsides, MJ will be great on the air.
I think it will be interesting because you're going to want to hear what Michael Jordan has to say. But what is he going to say? And are you going to get the unfiltered Michael Jordan? Are you going to get the killer Michael Jordan? Or are you just going to get the Michael Jordan that whenever he's in public now, he acts like he doesn't want to be in public. And all he wants to do is just golf and fish. So that's a concern in terms of how personable Michael Jordan will be. I think he'll be fine, but great. You know how I'm very strict, and I don't use great often. Great is a little bit of a stretch for me to say right now, so I will go offsides.
Offsides.
The Nuggets lost Game 4 at home versus the Thunder, evening the series at 2 games apiece. Now, 3-time MVP Nikola Jokic has been in a bit of a slump, shooting under 40% in 3 straight games for the first time since 2018, while also seeing his points and assists per game drop significantly and his turnovers nearly doubling. Onside offsides, the Nuggets can still win the series if Jokic continues to struggle. I
don't think so offside, but I will say both of these Western Conference series, it feels like neither team, whether you look at the Nuggets series up against the Thunder or you look at the Golden State Warriors up against the Timberwolves, even when these teams win, it's not all that impressive. It's not like they're saying, okay, we're the team to beat in this series. Both of these series, I know it depends who gets there out of the Eastern Conference. And many people, right, going into the postseason thought the Thunder were the best team. But, if the Celtics find a way to get through, I think they'll beat any of these 4 teams in the Western Conference. And the Celtics even haven't been all that impressive with the way that they played their first 2 games up against the Knicks before salvaging it on Saturday. And we'll see what happens tonight. It's weird. The games have been fun to watch, but there's been a lot of uninspiring play where you don't really know how to get a read on this postseason. But if Nikola Jokic doesn't play better, that's going to be a tough ask to go get 2 more wins up against what a lot of people believe is the best team in the West and maybe the best team in the league in the Oklahoma City Thunder. So the Nuggets still win this series. If Jokic continues to struggle, I would go offside.
Offside.
The Rockies are the worst team in baseball this year and are on pace to be the worst team in MLB history.
They make the White Sox look good.
Yeah.
From last year.
So
that was last year, right? When the White Sox had 121 or whatever it was?
They were horrible, and the Rockies might be worse. With a record of 7-33, Colorado have an all-time worst 175 winning percentage and were embarrassed by the Padres on Saturday 21-0. Now, despite winning yesterday, the team fired longtime skipper Bud Black, and Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said, quote, "I don't think Casey Stengel could change the outcome of that ball club. It's not the manager's fault," end of quote. Onside offsides, the Rockies were justified in firing Black after their bad start.
Yeah, they could do so. It's their team. And when you're 7-33, I understand firing the manager. But, there are teams that aren't set up the right way, like the Pirates and the Rockies as well. So I'm not going to say that they weren't justified in firing the manager. But if I'm Bud Black, I'm, sitting there saying, thank you for firing me. Because now I don't have to be attached to this any longer. So, yeah, they're justified in firing Bud Black to start the season. I have no problem with that onsides.
All right, last one. On Saturday, Mets pitching prospect Jonah Tong was throwing a perfect game for Double-A Binghamton in a 7-inning shortened game. However, after throwing 99 pitches, Tong was taken out of the game with just 1 out remaining
really?
for the perfecto. And as you can hear, the fans were not very happy.
Tong is at 99 pitches, and they're going to make the call to the bullpen. Tong.
All 8 people in the background.
Will depart, much to the dismay of this crowd, hoping to witness a perfect game thrown exclusively by him, but an ovation, a big one, as he comes towards the dugout.
All I can think about last year is when Paul Skeens got taken out of a no-hit bid.
That's right.
In the summer. I was going right off into vacation, and Samter or Stu said, they're taking him out of the game. I'm like, they took him out? What? I was driving to the Poconos. It was like an awful announcing headline. I couldn't even get to a rest stop yet. It was already all over the internet. And I lost my mind. I blew a gasket on the air. So you could ask the question, and they'll give you the answer.
So onstage, offsides, you're okay pulling a minor league pitcher who's 1 out away from a perfect game to save his arm?
Usually I would say, yeah, I understand it. But this is a 7-inning shortened game. He threw 99 pitches, and they were 1 out away? 1 out? Right?
1 out, yep.
7, 8 more pitches max? Like, really? So in this circumstance, I'm not okay with it. In other circumstances, because it's minor league baseball, like, who cares? I would understand it. But in this case, absolutely not. I would go offside.
Offside.
Alrighty, that will do it. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network, a little onside, offside on a Monday. We will take a timeout, and when we do come on back, we got to get to the way that this Vegas Golden Knights game ended over the weekend, because it was one of the craziest things that I've ever seen, and we'll talk about some of the craziest endings ever to a game that you've ever seen in the history of sports. We'll do that next. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You got game 4 tonight between the Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton is up 2-1 in this series. The way that game ended on Saturday was just absolutely redonkulous. It was crazy. We have the play-by-play of that. So this made it 4-3 right at the end of the game. Riley Smith scores the game winner. I think he was the only one that knew that it did go in. It was almost like when Patrick Kane had that walk-off in what was, I believe, Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. I think it was Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final in Philadelphia, where he scored, and he was the only person that knew the puck went in. And Doc Emrick has talked about this before, the great Doc Emrick, who could be the greatest play-by-play broadcaster of all time. Could be. He said it's the worst call of his career because nobody knew what was going on in that moment. So let's hear how it sounded. I'm sure that Samter you would say you patched this one together?
I did nothing of the sort. This is completely natural.
Oh, really?
No. I patched it together.
I was going to say, I thought you would patch it together to make it sound audible for the listening audience. That's what I would assume.
I don't care about the
correctly.
listening audience.
Oh, that's not good.
Forget you guys. If you don't like it,
well, that's not good. We're going to put Samter on a pitch count here. Brendan Burke, Darren Pang, TNT. This is how it sounded as Riley. Of course, it's a former Ranger. He was a Ranger for a cup of coffee before going back to Vegas. And always these guys that look like they're dead with the Rangers. They go to these other teams and they have these huge goals. He had 2 goals in the game. And he ended up netting the game winner as the buzzer was basically going off. The horn was going off. Golden Knights win. They're on the board in this series. They're down 2-1. But this was the crazy finish, courtesy of our friends at TNT.
William Karlsson with 7 will chip it down the boards. There's nobody to help him. A centering feed. Here's Riley Smith. Wade shoots. Hit the post. Oh, he hit the post at the buzzer.
Referee was right there. Garrett Rank signaled no goal. As close as it gets. As close as it gets.
Vegas' bench is celebrating.
I think this went in the net.
Vegas is celebrating a potential buzzer beater here in Edmonton.
This is a stunning way to end a hockey game if that's the case. And how he had the presence of mind to fake the shot with the clock winding down. Waits and waits and waits. And it goes off the camera, didn't it? It went off the camera in the middle of the net.
It went off Draisaitl's stick.
And then off the camera there.
After video
it's a
review,
goal.
At 0.4, the puck completely crossed the line. Goal.
Wow.
You believe that?
Riley Smith. What a play.
So I'll say this. You know what ruins the moment a little bit? And it was a jaw-dropping moment. Now all these teams have the tablets on the bench because they have to review things. Like, for example, when you go to a basketball game, they have a guy that has a laptop right behind the bench, and they're automatically reviewing the plays to tell the coach if they could challenge or not. It's the same thing, laptop, tablet, whatever, for hockey. So the players started celebrating on the ice like 10 seconds after we had no clue what was going on because the bench was like, no, that's a goal, that's a goal, that's a goal. I think it would have been more fun if you had to wait for the announcement. Like, remember when you had the tuck rule game and they were in the snow and the Patriot broadcasters were like, oh, we're very biased. It was Gino Capoletti and Gil Santos. Like, we're very biased, but we think his arm we think that's his arm was going forward and it's an incomplete pass. I had to be careful with my words because I don't want Stu to think that I actually thought that was a fumble or not. But anyway, there was like a wait and a suspense. Here you knew what was going to happen just based off the reaction by the Vegas Knights bench because they were able to review it. So that was very cool to watch. So let's go around the room here. Best ending to a game that you've ever seen. Stu, I'll start you off. What do you got?
All right, so mine is college football related. It was a little over 10 years ago in what was, I think, after Michigan-Ohio State, the second best rivalry, Auburn-Alabama.
Oh, great one.
So it was a tied game late in the fourth quarter.
Real quick, 20-second timeout
Sure.
here. When you said college football, the first thing I thought of was Boise State, Oklahoma, and the ending of that Fiesta Bowl.
Right.
I thought you were trolling Samter, who that game was in Glendale, Arizona. Right, Samter? That game was in Glendale, Arizona, and Samter left the game early. So that was a bad moment for Samter all those years ago. But that's where I thought you were going. But yeah, this is a great one.
Yeah, and I remember I was here. I was cutting tape, and I know our friend Ack was doing the scoreboard show. And
Chief, it's unbelievable. I can't believe what I just saw.
I can't remember if it was right before the show ended or right after the show ended, but we were all in the newsroom huddled up and could not believe what we were watching. But Alabama attempted a long field goal, and this is what happened.
So I guess if this thing comes up short, he can field it and run it out. All right, here we go. 56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow. Oh, my God. Auburn wins. Auburn has won the Iron Bowl. Auburn has won the Iron Bowl in the most unbelievable fashion you will ever see. I cannot believe it. 34-28.
You know, you look back at some college games. I mentioned Boise State, Oklahoma. That one between Alabama and Auburn in the Iron Bowl was phenomenal. Vince Young up against USC was also a classic. Doug Flutie. Like, there's just so many that you remember. The band is on the field. Just these crazy endings that you go through just in college football. Mine's not college football related. Hopefully I didn't steal Samter's because I started to sound like Samter there just when we asked the question and he started giving us a list. How many do you have on your list here before we get to yours?
Oh, man, I have to double count. I think like 15.
Okay, well then pause. I'll give you my ending first. Stu's ending is an absolute great one. And can I make an admission on this one? I missed it live. A buddy of mine was introducing us to his serious girlfriend at the time. They ended up getting married. They have a beautiful kid now. And they wanted to go out for Chinese on Long Island for dinner. And I was stalling people off and waiting. And eventually I lost that battle. And it ended up being one of the most iconic endings ever, not only to a college football game, but to a game period. So I ended up seeing that replayed over and over and over again. Let's go to mine. I think if you know me, this is very easy. Like, Stu, there is zero surprise here with the call that I'm about to play, right?
I would say no surprise.
So let's just get to it. This is the Patriots Radio Network.
Russell Wilson extends the hands. He has it. Wilson, quick throw. And it's good. Intercepted. Intercepted by Malcolm Butler. Butler has it at the one. Malcolm Butler stepped in front of the throw. No way. And the Patriots have possession with 20 seconds to go in Super Bowl 49 with a 4-point lead over the Seahawks.
It's got to be one of the dumbest calls offensively in Super Bowl history. You are on the 1-yard line, and you have number 24, and you drop back pass. Are you kidding me? And also, they ran a pick play, an illegal pick. You deserve an interception.
That is Scott Zolak and Bob Sosi on the Patriots Radio Network. Zolak's call as the color analyst there may be better than the actual moment, and the moment is just flat out stupid good. And you got to remember, I know no one's going to have a small violin playing for me, but the Patriots at the time won 3 Super Bowls, but they lost the 2 to the Giants off the crazy David Tyree catch, the crazy Mario Manningham catch. The David Tyree catch was in Glendale, Arizona. They're in Glendale, Arizona again for this Super Bowl. And you have that acrobatic, just stupid catch down the sideline, the right sideline, that Butler swatted the ball away. It was up in the air and off the carom. It was caught. And then the ball is on the 1. Dante Hightower made a great play to keep the ball at the 1 where he bench pressed the offensive lineman to go tackle Marshawn Lynch. And then boom, Pete Carroll and Darrell Bevell decide to throw the ball. And the Butler did it. So that's the craziest ending, in my opinion, to a game that I've ever seen. All righty, Samter. I think I know where you're going for this one. What is the sport?
You actually called it earlier.
Oh, so it's college football?
It's college football.
Oh, I thought you were going college basketball. I thought you were going to go with the Leitner shot.
Leitner was on my list of 15, but no, it was not my final answer.
Okay, so Stu has the kick 6. Craziest ending ever. Mine is Malcolm Butler as we do a little homage to what happened on Saturday with Riley Smith getting that game-winning goal as the time was expiring to make the series 2-1. What's the craziest ending to a game? Give me some of yours on the list first. All
right, so some of mine on my list. Obviously, Leitner was on there. Bill Buckner, 86 World Series. The Chris Webber timeout against UNC. NC State, Lorenzo Charles dunked to win the championship. Kirk Gibson, Game 1 of the World Series, homering on one leg off of Dennis Eckersley, who was unhittable. The catch, Dwight Clark. Reggie Miller, 8 points in 6 seconds.
Axe getting a kick. He just goes, "Hey, you gonna give one?" This is you counted 10 already. Ack is very impressed with you here. Go ahead, continue.
We got Doug Flutie, Hail Mary.
Oh.
The Immaculate Reception, maybe the greatest play in football history to win the game in the playoffs for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Franco Harris. This one, if you don't remember it, the River City Relay. Saints-Jaguars 2003. The Saints needed to win the last 2 games of the season to make the playoffs. They're down by 7. On the last play of the game, they throw 3 laterals, score the touchdown.
And missed the extra point.
And they missed the extra point and got eliminated from the playoffs.
That was when, you said?
2003.
I remember this. I remember this. I was at a Shiva call, I'm pretty sure. I was at a Shiva call for someone that I didn't know that passed away that my parents made me go to when I was a little kid, and I made them put on the football game, and I remember seeing the missed kick. Aaron Brooks was the quarterback. Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Who was the kid? Was it John Casey?
John Carney, I think.
Oh, John Carney. Yeah.
Carney. You've got the Music City Miracle, right?
Yep.
The Bills and Titans. Bobby Thompson, the shot were heard around the world. Bucky freaking Dent, Yankees, Red Sox. The one that I was actually...
Coming up next, the JR Sport Brief on the Infinity Sports Network.
Initially, I was going to go with Stephon Marbury, Game 7, 94, Eastern Conference Finals. Valerie Selapukin scored the tying goal with 7 seconds left in regulation in Game 7, and then double overtime, Matteau comes back. Yeah. But no, instead, you called it before 2007. I was at the game, Fiesta Bowl in Arizona, and Oklahoma was down by 8 with about a minute and a half to go. They scored a touchdown, got the 2-point conversion. Boise State had the ball. This happened.
Zabransky, a dangerous throw, and it's intercepted into the end zone. Marcus Walker.
That gave Oklahoma the lead with about a minute left in the game. I left to beat the traffic.
Paid by the
I
word
walked
today?
out, and then after I left, heading into the parking lot, this happened for Boise State.
Down the middle, James, the lateral to the corner of the end zone. Can you believe that? They do this a lot. Peretta to take the snap. He's going to throw it to the end zone. Touchdown! Boise State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won the Toast
We got a good laugh at us after expense there when the microphones were off. Ack and I. Hey, continue.
No, that's the end of it. That was the most incredible ending to a game I can remember. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it live, but
And
the
then
fact
Ian
that there was
Johnson proposed to his girlfriend.
Yes, the
Does
pick
anyone
six-
know her last name?
Smith?
No.
Samter.
No, not Samter. It's a Greek last name, Papadikis.
Papadikis or Papadikes?
Papadikis.
But the best part about it, he just went through 20 games,
Yes.
and you missed one of the biggest ones of all time.
The almanac is here.
Uh-oh, Ack, what'd I miss?
The band is on the field.
You know what? I had that on my list,
I did
and
say
I just
that.
ran out of time.
But
That
he
was a good one.
Yes. So the reason why I know, this was the juvenile Zach Gelb. The reason why I know the last name of the lady that Ian Johnson ended up proposing to, my friends and I thought it was the funniest thing that her last name was spelled Popadics. So that was my computer password growing up as a kid because we were very dirty-minded. And the hint, you know how you used to put a hint on your password if you forget it? It was Boise State running back or whatever it was, girlfriends. Yeah. So that was the whole thing. And we
Note
did
to
not say
self,
we did
hack
not
into
say it.
Zach's
Well, it's not
accounts.
anymore. We did not say it in the Greek way. You know, Papadikes. We said it how you would think young kids would end up saying that. Anyway, before I get fired, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Affinity Sports Network. We should just if any day I want a day off or if the throat's hurting, just let Samter go. I'll get up and go home.
100 Samters.
Yeah. You know what? 100 Samters would beat one Zach Gelb. You want to know why?
100
One of them
Samters.
could talk you to death. 100 of them would actually kill you. 1,000%. All righty, we'll come on back with the news brief update time first. Here is Ack.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the NFL's tradition of Super Bowl champions opening the season on the first Thursday will continue this September 4th. Not only are the defending champs in the spotlight, but will host their biggest rival, the Dallas Cowboys. The last time they opened the season facing each other was back in 2000. Browns linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah will miss the 2025 season due to a neck injury. The drama between the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson continues, with a pass rusher issuing a statement to ESPN saying the team is no longer in communication with them. The Cooper Flag sweepstakes will be determined tonight. The NBA draft lottery will be held before the start of tonight's playoff action. The Jazz, Wizards, and Hornets all have the best odds at winning at 14%. Rudy Tomjanovich once said, never underestimate the heart of a champion. The Celtics finally showed that on Saturday, crushing the Knicks to close the gap in that Eastern Conference semifinal. Tonight, Game 4 at Madison Square Garden with Boston looking to even things up. The second part of the doubleheader as the Warriors hosting the Timberwolves, looking to even that series at 2 games apiece. Steph Curry remains out for Golden State. Hockey, the Hurricanes host the Capitals up 2-1, while the Golden Knights and Oilers face off in Edmonton, which is up 2-1. I'm Rich Ackham.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Let's go to New Saints coach Kellen Moore on Derek Carr's retirement.
First of all, you respect and appreciate so much that Derek's done in this league, and for the way he's done it, the on the field performance, the off the field person that he's showcased, and the impact he's had on so many people in this profession is really, really special. And so certainly, coming here, I've always had so much respect and appreciation for him. And as we've gone through this process, obviously this is how it kind of ultimately was settled. It was really good communication through the whole process as far as navigating this. Again, challenging circumstances with him being injured at the end of the year, and then just kind of navigating things throughout the whole offseason process. And so, I think, Derek, the people that are a part of his life have communicated really well with the Saints. I think there's been really good communication, and so we feel like it was done the right way.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there was good communication here. At least just judging by the way that Derek Carr has presented himself recently, it doesn't seem like there was good communication. It seemed like he was annoyed at the organization. And I would not be shocked if a year from now we're talking about a potential Derek Carr return somewhere else. I don't know who would want him, but I could see him maybe trying to get back onto a football field. Here is Kellen Moore in his current QB competition now with Carr out of the room.
All three quarterbacks, we're going to let all three of these guys roll, and they've all earned these opportunities. We'll let Jake, Spencer, and Tyler, all three kind of go through this process. Again, we'll play patience, let these guys compete, let them get into training camp, and naturally these guys will kind of take care of itself.
And let's go to Shedeur Sanders. How will he prove the doubters wrong?
My job here isn't to prove people wrong. Like, I prove myself right. That's and I fully have self-belief. And what those people say, that's just their opinion. So I don't truly care. They don't really live in my mental space about that type of stuff. It really doesn't do anything for me.
My job is not to prove people wrong, it's to prove myself right. That's a good quote right there by Shedeur Sanders. Let's go to Pablo Torre on the Dominique Foxworth show. He has a surprise prediction about Bill Belichick at Chapel Bill.
What happens next for Coach Belichick? Do you think that he makes it to week one? Is it getting that contentious over there?
I think there's a chance, an absolutely real chance, that he doesn't.
And
the reason I say that is because even before the Jordan Hudson thing became as public, the date that matters the most is June 1st. On June 1st, the buyout of Bill Belichick goes from $10 million to $1 million if Bill wanted the escape hatch. And so the question everybody is asking is, are things so dysfunctional behind the scenes when it comes to the power struggle, when it comes to what they are telling Bill to do? Don't have Jordan around anymore. Stop behaving in the way that you have. Basically telling him for the first time, really, that you're an employee and not the boss of this building in the way that he may have been assuming he would be. Then there is the ability for him to get out of it. Is this something that's sustainable, right? Is that fireable? What does he have to do to get fired? These are all active questions.
The guy is sleeping with a 24-year-old who has become his publicist. We are all, even though it's weird, we are all overreacting to this. Why would this prevent him from coaching the football team? And why would he walk away before coaching a game at UNC? I don't get that one. Let's go to Nikola Jokic and the offensive struggles he's been having up against Oklahoma City.
They're playing really good defense on me. They're really into my body, handsy, physical. I think I missed like 2-3 open looks tonight. So it's a little bit of everything. They're shrinking the ball. They're shrinking the floor for me. They're having guy behind the defender. So it's a little bit of everything. So it's. I need to do a better job, of course, but it's part of the game.
And then let's go to Charles Barkley. He said the Nuggets are screwed by the quick turnaround. They played Friday night, and then they had the earlier game on Sunday, both times staying in Denver.
I thought what the NBA did to them was unfair. Making them play late Friday night, then an early afternoon game. I thought that was unfair. I truly believe that.
Both teams had to do it.
Get a day in between.
Yeah, but they got more depth. They got a much. OKC got 12
team.
players.
Well, play more guys.
That's stupid. Let's hear the coach of the Nuggets, David Adelman. Did the short turnaround lead to the Game 4 loss?
No, I'm not going to say that.
Good.
I don't want to say that. I will say that I think both teams were very tired coming off an unbelievably physical overtime battle on a late Friday night. So if it affected us, it surely affected them as well. I mean, both of us had super tired legs. So it was about who's going to make that final run. And we got up 8. I thought we were making the push. And to their credit, they were the ones to make the final run. And we made mistakes late. You can call them mental mistakes, physical, whatever it was. We didn't play well enough the last 6 minutes to win a playoff game.
Oh, you had a day off in between. Charles Barkley, it's terrible what the NBA did. Give me a break. Let's hear Sam Bennett, his third period goal yesterday. This put the Panthers up 2-0, which was the final score. Maple Leafs took a 2-0 series lead. Now the Panthers got both on their home ice as this series goes back to Canada into Toronto. Let's listen up. This is Dougie Plagens on the Panthers Radio Network.
Bennett walks in front, makes a move, and he scores!
scores. Sam Bennett gives the Panthers a 2-0 lead with 7:50 to play here in the third. Playoff Sam doubles the Panthers' lead.
Scale of 1 to 10, Stu, what's your rating?
7.2.
Okay. Samter?
6.97. It was fine.
4.3.
Yeah.
That was really underwhelming. You're up 2-0. I know you're defending Stanley Cup champs and it's a second round, but this puts you up 2-0 in the game in the third period. Enough time is eclipsed by. I would expect a little bit more energy. Let's hear Josh Bugard on the Stars Radio Network. This makes it Dallas 4-2. Mikko Rantanen, this was his 17th point in his last 16th game, or 6th game.
Game 1 ended with this same score line. The Stars, high slot, walking Rantanen. He shoots. He scores! Mikko Rantanen! The legend grows! And so does the lead for Dallas.
1 to 10, Stu?
7.8.
Okay.
Yeah,
Santer?
I'll go 8-1 for a random second round playoff game. The fact that Rantanen has been that good, I just thought that was great.
So they won the game. They're up 2-1 now in the series up against the Winnipeg Jets. This made it 4-2 with 4:40 into the third period. I don't know, guys. I'm expecting a little bit more energy there. It gives you a 2-goal lead. It was much better than the Panthers Radio Network right there. 6-1? Like, good cadence. I'm expecting my hockey guys to be like the dude in Colorado or be like the dude in Tampa Bay and Dave Mishkin. I need them going nuts. I need them screaming. I used to love Randy Moeller, who used to do the games on the radio. He would do the play-by-play. He'd be like, he shoots, he scores! Ma, where's the meatloaf? As he would just throw out, like, movie references and things like that. Like, come on. I need a little bit more energy from these guys. Radio play-by-play and hockey playoff, I have a high standard.
Mike Lang, scratch my back with the hacksaw. Rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace indeed. All righty, we'll take a break. We'll come on back. A hood from Stephon Marbury coming up at 5:35 p.m. Eastern, but we return. Does Aaron Rodgers have a new destination, a new suitor, or is it still all on him and the Steelers to get a deal done? We'll talk next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
So we have to talk about two stories. There are two stories that I do not want to talk about. So sometimes when I don't want to talk about something, I'll get tweets that people will say like, why are you talking about this? Nobody cares. It's because people do care. The two stories that I give two bleeps about right now is Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson is one of these stories. And then also, even though we talk about it a lot because people care, it's the future of Aaron Rodgers. At this point, Aaron Rodgers is like the reality TV show that should have ended 4 seasons ago, but they keep on making content and there's really no new storylines and it's all contrived drama. And you're watching because you've watched it for years, but now you're hate watching. So we know that Derek Carr is walking away from the NFL for now before he probably tries to attempt to come back next year. And I don't think there will be many teams interested, if any teams interested in him at all. But I don't think that Derek Carr's intention of walking away from the game, this is, okay, I'm doing so for the rest of my life. I'm never going to play football again. I do think he'll try to make a comeback next year. With that being said, though, I knew this was going to happen. And now I've seen enough people talk about it that now I need to respond to it. People have thrown out what Aaron Rodgers considered the New Orleans Saints. Folks, I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here. It's two things. One, Aaron Rodgers is like the kid on Christmas Day that is just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to open up his presents for the rare chance that Santa could still swap out the present because he got kind of tipped off that Santa didn't bring him the gift that he wanted. So he's hoping that eventually Santa's going to put the present he wants under the tree. And that's the Minnesota Vikings here. Like Aaron Rodgers is hoping, praying, begging that something goes wrong with J.J. McCarthy from now until the start of the season so he could swoop on in, even though they just traded for Sam Howell. So he could swoop on in and really be Brett Favre 2.0, where you go from the Packers to the Jets to the Minnesota Vikings. And the reason why Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, viewed Minnesota so attractive is because Minnesota had a good team. They got to the NFC Championship game when Brett Favre was there. And then for Aaron Rodgers, they have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, and TJ Hawkinson on a team that, let's be real, made Sam Darnold look like he was a good quarterback this past year. And they play in a dome. So I understand why Aaron wants to go to Minnesota. But eventually, if the girl keeps on telling you, I'm not interested, I don't want to go on the date with you, or we went on a date and guess what? I'm seeing someone else now, or I wasn't just into you. You don't want to be the pathetic dude that keeps on texting and texting and texting and texting. And I'll tell you this, Stu. The reason why I use that analogy. I have a buddy. I got to be careful here because I don't want anyone to get annoyed at me that are my friends because the juice on this one is just not worth the squeeze. So I'm going to say something into this microphone right now. And if anyone gets annoyed with me saying it that are my friends, go contact someone else. But I have a buddy who's been dating, let's just say, I'm not going to say her name in the air, has been dating a girl for like 2-3 years now. I guess before they started dating, said girl went on a date with someone that also went to the same college as us and was in the same fraternity as us. So this guy went on a date with this girl. I heard the date was just not good, which is not surprising. And then the girl ended up dating one of my good friends from said same fraternity. It was like way after college. So it's just ironic that the odds of this happening where two guys, same fraternity, going on a date, different dates obviously, but with the same girl. So that guy has now dated this girl for a while. And the guy that we both know that ended up going on a date before this other guy got into the picture still texts this girl even after she told him, hey, it was nice meeting you, but now I have a boyfriend, so I'm not looking to go on a date with you. And he still occasionally, this other guy checks in to see, hey, are you interested in going on a date? And she stopped responding. So anyway, said guy is basically Aaron Rodgers right now. He keeps on texting pretty much the Minnesota Vikings. Hey, you up? Hey, you around? Hey, you want to go on a date? Hey, you want to go get drinks? Hey, you want to go get dinner? And when you keep on getting Bueller, you have to have a little bit of pride there at the end of the day and just not text back. Especially a girl that you had zero relationship with. So Aaron Rodgers waiting for the Vikings is starting to be pathetic. But also, I think the closer reality of the truth here is that Aaron Rodgers is fine going to the Steelers, right? You could talk yourself into the Steelers being a good destination. I know he would prefer going to the Minnesota Vikings, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to do any of this offseason junk. Remember last year, the offseason program? After going to a bunch of them, he missed 2-3 days to go to Egypt. And Aaron Rodgers, it was mandatory. The Jets clearly weren't happy with him because they let this thing get out. And the way that Robert Saleh handled at the podium, and Aaron Rodgers ended up going to Egypt with God knows what the heck he was doing in Egypt. But that's where Aaron Rodgers was. I don't think Aaron Rodgers in this stage of his career wants to go to a lot of this offseason programs. And you know what, Stu? If Aaron Rodgers is not all in, if I'm the Steelers, just rip off the Band-Aid. I would rather have Aaron Rodgers over Mason Rudolph, but even if you get Aaron Rodgers, where are you going? You're going to the first round of the playoffs at best. At best. If everything goes right and you're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. A month ago, I maybe said, maybe at best, you would go to the playoffs and maybe win one playoff game. Now I think it's at best you're just going to the wild card round and doing what you've done ever since the 2016 season, ended, which was just you go out in the first round of the playoffs. So if I'm the Steelers, I just rip this whole thing down. I would just say start Mason Rudolph. Our roster is getting a little bit up there in age. Defense slowed down last year. You just traded for DK Metcalf, and try to put yourself in position to actually draft a quarterback in the first round. That could be a franchise quarterback. With that being said, though, we all still believe. Does that, like Samter, Stu, does anyone not think that Rodgers is going to be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Right? It's a lock.
I think he will be, yeah.
Samter?
The thing is, if he wanted to be the quarterback of the Steelers, he would have been the quarterback of the Steelers by now. It seems like
no, because then you have to go to the offseason program.
I mean, does he really have to?
The mandatory stuff, yeah. It's in the CBA.
I mean, maybe. But, like, I feel like if he wanted to be a Steeler, he would have been a Steeler already at this point. Or at least he would have, like, given an indication that he wants to or something.
Well, here's the thing. I'll use
And if you're Mike Tomlin, do you really want him to skip like a quarterback who's going to be there for a year to skip all the mandatory offseason workouts?
I'll use it now. Well, Mike Tomlin really don't have a leg to stand on. It's either him or Mason Rudolph. Yeah, I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers than Mason Rudolph if I was Mike Tomlin. Because Mike Tomlin, I think that seat is starting to get a little bit hot. I know the organization doesn't change a lot, but when you were the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers and you haven't won a playoff game since the 2016 season, I know we all think Mike Tomlin is a great coach. I think Mike Tomlin is a really good coach. And Mike Tomlin, if he got fired tomorrow, would have a job in a second with how well respected he is in the league. But when you're the coach of the Pittsburgh freaking Steelers, you got to go win a playoff game. And you can't have this long of a drought. So, yes, I think it'd be better long term. And I said this, if I'm the Steelers, I would give a 2-year edict to Mike Tomlin. You either win us a playoff game in the next 2 years, or you find us our next franchise quarterback. And I think it's more likely that the Steelers, if they were bad enough this year, could go find that franchise quarterback compared to it is if they end up winning a playoff game, right? Even if you bring in Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Aaron Rodgers won a playoff game with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But either way, I'll give you an analogy here. So I'll give you another analogy. This is Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers right now. I don't know what your relationship is like with your in-laws, but let's just assume it's the stereotypical relationship that a lot of people have in their minds of their in-laws. I got to go there. They could be a pain in the ass, but that's your wife's parents. So let's say your in-laws, right, live in Florida. And your wife's begging you, we got to go visit my mom and my dad. And you're like, ugh, I don't really want to go there. And your wife asks you one time. And you say, all right, you push it off. Then she asks you a second time. You push it off. Third time, you delay the conversation. Eventually, the foot's put down. It's like, okay, we have to go. And you begrudgingly say, all right, it's not that bad. I could go golf. It's going to be 85 degrees. My in-laws could see, my daughter. There's a good restaurant. Like, you talk yourself into it. That's Aaron Rodgers right now with the Steelers. You know that they're in a good destination. You know you're eventually going to have to go, and you're eventually going to have to see a place that you don't want to be, but you talk yourself into it being acceptable. And that's what's going to happen here. Rodgers is holding out hope that the buddy calls him and says, hey, we got a trip. It can't miss. And then your wife says, yeah, you could go on the trip. You don't have to go to the in-laws. That's the Minnesota Vikings. But right now, I think Rodgers has already come to the reality of the situation and has resided to the fact that in all likelihood, it's 99.9% at this time that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I really do believe that he just doesn't want to go to a lot of this offseason program right now. I would love to know where Rodgers is right now. He did that McAfee interview like in a different location. Rodgers, you could tell me where Rodgers is right now and nothing would surprise me. Nothing. But to get back to the question I was asking, are the Saints a destination for Rodgers? I don't see why either would consider it. I don't see why the Saints would say, I want to bring in Rodgers, go with Shuck, go with Haener, go with Rattler, and start the march for Arch or whoever it is. If it's not Arch Manning, let's say he goes back to Texas. Lenore Sellers, Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier. Like, whoever the quarterback's going to be, your roster's not that good. Be as bad as possible. And if one of these quarterbacks end up winning 9 games this year and they say, oh, I could be the guy, all right, that's great. But in all likelihood, you'll stink. And then you'll go get a top 5 draft pick and you could have finally addressed an actual replacement since Drew Brees has walked out of that building. That's what I would do if I'm the New Orleans Saints. And also, if you're Rodgers, why would you go to the Saints? You got Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. All right, that's fine. The division, it's probably Tampa Bay's division. Atlanta could be a player. But even if the Saints got Aaron Rodgers and you're in a dome, I still look at the Saints at best as the third team in that division. I'd probably still say fourth. Because I think there's some intrigue now with the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young. And they drafted 2 wide receivers recently. So the bottom line here, I don't think the Saints are a destination for Aaron Rodgers because I don't think the Saints would consider it, number one. But number two, if you're Rodgers, who says it's not about the money, outside of money and just trying to get another suitor out there, you drive up the price with the Steelers, and I don't know how much the money is an impact here, then that's the only way that you would probably use the Saints. I don't think Rodgers would go to the Saints over the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's just me. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll talk about Trey Hendrickson next. Also, Stephon Marbury going to join us coming up. A conversation that I had with him yesterday. We'll play that for you right at 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time, so 20 minutes from now.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Before I get to our Ask the Pros question of the day, we'll have Stephon Marbury, a conversation I had with him yesterday. We'll play it for you coming up at 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Some quick thoughts about the 4 NBA series still ongoing. The Oklahoma City Thunder just got the victory yesterday, 92-87 over the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, his offense has been a little bit sluggish at times, but that's a series where neither team looked like they want to win the series. So the longer and longer this goes on, the best player, even though he hasn't been playing like that in the league, is Nikola Jokic. I still think the Thunder win it, but I think the Thunder are playing with fire here. That series is all tied up at 2 apiece. The Thunder, for Game 5, they win that game. I think they'll end up winning the series. They lose that game, man, you go back to Denver for a Game 6, I'm not liking your chances. The Pacers and the Cavs. Let me say this because I know we're on in Indianapolis. The Indiana Pacers may be the most disrespected team in the league. I thought they had a chance to win this series going in. I know injuries have impacted the Cavs, but what they have done, and I know Donovan Mitchell got hurt last night, but the game was basically already over with how that was after the first half, and then you saw him warming up for the second half, and he got hurt. The Pacers went to the conference finals last year, and they're probably going to the conference finals again this year, unless they have one of the biggest choke jobs that we've seen in quite some time. But they are now 1 win away after their 20-point victory yesterday to go up 3-1. And we'll see how much of a fight they could give either the Celtics or the Knicks. I'm going to the game tonight, Boston and New York. This is the series is on the line. If the New York Knicks win this game tonight, I think they win the series. They go up 3-1. If they lose after they've only played 2 better quarters than the Celtics through 12 in this series, and if they lose tonight, then the Celtics are probably going to win this series, and I wouldn't even be surprised if then they win that series in 6 games. So this, to be the winner of tonight, wins this series between the Celtics and the Knicks, just like how I think the next time the Thunder and the Nuggets play, the winner of that Game 5, even though this is Game 4, will end up winning that series. Timberwolves and Warriors, another series. You know, Anthony Edwards has not been, unbelievable in this series. The Warriors, you're dealing with the Steph Curry injury. They just got to win one before Steph gets back to still make this manageable, and we'll see when Steph does come back. I feel like Minnesota's going to win, but I'm not even impressed when Minnesota does win, and you will see Game 4 coming up tonight as Minnesota is up 2-1 in this series, and we'll see what the Warriors do in this Game 4. All righty, it's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Joe in Ohio says, Zach, what do you think about the Bengals' chances to go to the Super Bowl this year? Do you view them as a Super Bowl contender? You can submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Adam Schefter got this statement today from Trey Hendrickson. Quote, no communication has taken place between my camp and the organization post-draft. The offers prior to the draft did not reflect the vision we shared and were promised last offseason if I continued to play at a high level. And we know he ended up leading the league in sacks. That was my take on it, but we'll go back to the quotes. Coaches are aware of these past conversations. Rather than use collaboration to get us to a point to bring me home to the team, they are no longer communicating. I have been eagerly awaiting a resolution of this situation, but that's hard to do when there is no discussion and evident lack of interest in reaching mutual goals, and close quotes. I look at the Bengals, and this is what I know about the Cincinnati Bengals this year. they're going to put up a crap load of points. They probably would have made the playoffs last year if they just got off to a better start to the season. But there's a difference in making the playoffs and then being a Super Bowl contender. Joe Burrow has the ability to be the best quarterback in the league. Jamar Chase has the ability to be the best wide receiver in the NFL. Or if not the best, one of the best for Burrow and Chase. T. Higgins is back. As long as he's healthy, he's arguably the best number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. You are going to put up points, and then some. But can you make a stop? And the Bengals defense, even though they're bringing in Al Golden to be the defensive coordinator from Stu's Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and he's familiar with that program, obviously, in Cincinnati, they have gone from a team with Trey Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks last year. Remember, you had the Triple Crown winner and wide receiver. You had a quarterback that led the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. And you had a pass rusher who led the league in sacks. And that wasn't good enough to get to the postseason because of what? Your defense. Your defense was Swiss cheese. Your defense was extremely problematic. So, this offseason, have the Bengals slightly addressed their defense? Yes. I still think they missed Jesse Bates in a big-time way, who went to Atlanta a few years ago, and that defense has never looked the same since he's changed. So Trey Hendrickson has been an elite pass rusher the last 2 years. I wouldn't mess around here. You got a window right now with Burrow, with Chase, with Higgins, and you got everyone's contract taken care of. I would find a way to get this deal done with Trey Hendrickson, and even if you do get this deal done with Trey Hendrickson, there's still going to be concerns about that defense. So I look at the Cincinnati Bengals this year. They'll be a playoff contending team. They'll be a good team. They'll be a solid team. They can't have this nonsense, though, of, they start off the year slow, and, it's just the Cincinnati Bengals. This is what the Bengals do. They'll be able to survive. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing they're going to be able to survive. They weren't able to survive last year. They made a late push. They were surging. They were red hot at the end of the season. But they lost to a Patriot team that was a horrible team in week 1. You can't allow that to happen. That's what I hate to see from Zach Taylor's team early on in the season. You can't have it's the Bengal blunder. Who cares? It's the Bengals. They'll be fine. They'll get it together. Because your defense isn't good enough to find a way to correct the problems that you make earlier in the season. And it came back to bite you in the you-know-what last year. So do I view the Cincinnati Bengals as a Super Bowl contending team entering this season? I do not. I view them as a team that can make the playoffs. But I think we're resting on just the star power because Burrow's great, Chase is great, Higgins is great. If Hendrickson, they end up getting a deal done, we know he's great. They have a lot of great pieces. They're top-heavy, but the rest of the roster needs work. The rest of the roster needs help, and the defense has to be better. So they'll score a lot of points. The Bengals are a team that you would love to play Madden with because you're scoring a lot of points, but when your buddy gets the controller, are you going to be able to find a way to make a stop? Or is it one of those games that basically Stu would play with Gallo back in the day where it'd be like 70-65 on Madden and it would just be points out of the wazoo? That's what I fear for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are good. The Bengals are solid. But we look at the Bengals as Super Bowl contenders saying, this was a team a few years ago that got to the Super Bowl and they beat Patrick Mahomes when it mattered and they'll be able to do it again. But you got to have the defense to do that. They don't have the ability to put Mahomes under duress. They don't have the ability to suffocate Mahomes, even though this defense, they look like the 85 Bears whenever they play Mahomes. But what about the rest of the league? That's the problem. That's where you need to be better. And so far, that's where the Cincinnati Bengals continuously, they just do not get there. And their defense has to be better. That's why I don't view them as a Super Bowl contending team. We'll hear from Stephon Marbury next, standing by with the latest sports flash. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
The Philadelphia Eagles will open their title defense against the biggest rival. They'll host the Cowboys on September 4th as they celebrate their second Super Bowl, while Dallas makes its debut under new head coach Brian Schottenheimer, and the Eagles will also reportedly be part of a Fox Saturday doubleheader on December 20th, facing the Commanders in Washington along with the Packers and Bears in Chicago. Cooper Flagg has done nothing to lose his status as the projected number 1 pick in the draft, and tonight we'll find out where he's going. The NBA draft lottery will be held before the start of tonight's playoff action. The Jazz, Wizards, and Hornets all have a 14% chance at getting the number 1 pick overall. The Knicks host the Celtics, looking to avoid dropping back-to-back games after winning the first 2 games of the series. The Warriors look to even their series with the Timberwolves after falling in consecutive games. Steph Curry remains out. Head coach Steve Kerr said they have to take advantage of all opportunities after Jimmy Butler did his part in Game 3, but the rest of the cast did not offer much support. Stanley Cup playoff action tonight. The Hurricanes host the Capitals up 2-1, and the Oilers up 2-1, and the Golden Knights host tonight's Game 4. I'm Rich Echo.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're back again.
By the way, on April 6th, Stephon Marbury's brand, Camelo Eyewear, teamed up on a limited edition eyewear style in collaboration with the Knicks, featuring Camelo's best-selling style R. The glasses feature white frames and the Knicks logo displayed across the sleek rimless lenses. And the glasses, Knicks R, which are $3.99, is available only for purchase at Madison Square Garden until supplies run out. Each pair comes with an exclusive protective case and an autographed Stephon Marbury collectible. And the glasses are the perfect balance of cutting-edge style, team spirit, and everyday wear. And the former Knick, Stephon Marbury, kind enough to join us right now. Steph, appreciate the time. How you been?
I've been blessed, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Well, I appreciate you coming on in the Fan in New York City. So where are we at right now? I know you've been all fired up for the Knicks the last few years. They were up 2-0 and they lose yesterday.
Oh, my God. It was a tough game to lose, but obviously everyone knew that they weren't, speaking about Boston, they weren't going to come inside of the Garden and allow us to dominate them in the second half the way we did. They came out and played like the champs. But for the most part, we're right where we want to be at, to be honest. I mean, we're in the driver's seat. We went inside of their building, won 2 games, pivotal games that changed the momentum, changed the energy of the series. And, you know, when you go on the road, you really want to win 1. We got 2. So not only did we take home court advantage, we took the lead. So I think going up against the champs, you got to have expectancy and knowing that these guys are good. They are aware of what they did wrong, and they're watching film just like we're watching film, you know. But the best part is we went against their resistance when we beat them inside of their building. So they came back and they played well yesterday. We looked like we were sleepwalking yesterday. We was out there at 3:30 like if it was a 10:30 game. No energy, wasn't fired up. The fans had more energy than the players, I felt. I know I was gassed up. I mean, they humbled me real quick and put me right in my seat.
What type of effort do you think they'll see in Game 4? Because you even heard Jalen say it after the game that subconsciously you're up 2-0. Maybe there's why there wasn't that urgency where you knew the defending champs were going to give you a big punch right out of the gate.
Whatever he says, that's what I'm going with. So I'm not going to speak into that. I'd rather continue to keep our tactics for us to try to beat them because we need it all. But from what I saw, I didn't see the same execution on defense as we were not giving up middle drives. Our defense is geared not to give up middle. We were breaking down on defense. We were giving up open shots. We weren't running them off of the three-point line as we were. Our contest shots, they weren't nowhere near as with the same type of energy and enthusiasm that we play with in Boston. We play with the sense of a different style and a sense of rhythm in Boston. Even though when we were down, we still had a nice flow. Last night, it was basically like the champs came in and did what they wanted to do, like how they did the last time when they came and they played against us on our court.
Stephon Marbury here with us on The Fan. What is it like for you, as a guard, to see what Jalen Brunson has been able to do the last few years in New York?
Legendary. I mean, just him in a whole. The guy gave up $50 million to put this team on his back and lead it. I mean, his leadership, his will to win, his ability to understand what's needed, to be able to have the poise and to be able to continue to learn as he's growing through all of the challenges and rising at the same time is legendary. It's amazing to see, and I'm happy to see. It's great for New York basketball. He's becoming a iconic figure for the guards here who play basketball here, because it's old school mixed with new school footwork, being able to shoot the basketball mid-range, just a variety of different things on the basketball court for a guard to be able to use as a model.
And we all know this, right? This organization was down and out for a while, and now there's not only stability. This team has been playing at a really good level, and they're still up 2-1, and tomorrow's going to be a zoo. I know you're from New York. I know you played for the Knicks, so it obviously means a lot to you. But so many of you former Knicks are coming on back the last few years to cheer on this team. Why does it mean so much to see this team do so well?
The saying, once a Knick, always a Knick, is really a true saying. It's like being able to have the energy of New York basketball inside the Mecca, where everyone desires to play. They grew up idolizing this place to play basketball, to showcase their skills. And for these guys to have played for the Knicks and to come back and be here in such a positive light and all of the positive energy that's happening amongst the people in the city, it's a vibe. It's the most vibrant inside of the NBA when you have alumni row the way how it is, because you understand the transparency and how the Knicks operate with people who play basketball with the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? They could have played for other teams, but when they come and play for the Knicks, they can always come back. And that's real. It's not something that's like happening all over. This is something that goes on, with the Knicks. Like, once a Knick, always a Knick. That's a fan knowing of what we know growing up. Like, oh yeah, he played for the Knicks, but we still love him because he did this. You know what I'm saying? So remembrance is always, a key, and it stays in the memory.
Stephon Marbury here with us. We'll talk about his eyeglasses camo coming up in just a second. You wanted to talk a little strategy. Obviously, the first two games for the Celtics, they shot 25% from three. Yesterday, they were 50% from behind the arc. How do the Knicks defend the Celtics? We're going to keep on shooting it better from three.
We got to play basketball. Play basketball to win. Do everything that it takes to win the game. Close out. No middle, right? Make sure that you make the extra rotation. Do all of the little things that you're supposed to do. And then after you do all of those things, then if they make shots and they're so prolific in their game where we can't stop them and beat them, then we could deal with an L. But we can't deal with L's like we can't deal with L's like yesterday, 3:30 to 5:30. It was a massacre in my mind, but it wasn't even like that because we didn't even play. They tried to show the engine again in the fourth quarter, but you can't get up on defense in the fourth quarter and play like that against the champs. This is serious. It's real. You got to be up in them from the beginning of the game until the end of the game because they want to hold up that trophy again, too. And they're looking at it the way how we're not. They got to handle this to get what they want. But if we really want something, we gotta really give up something if we really want to get something. That was the message, and that was the message today in service.
I'm telling you, Steph, you're getting me fired up, man. Because tomorrow,
man, we ready.
The series is on the line tomorrow. I think the series decided tomorrow.
No, it's not on the line. No. See, this is another thing. Don't do this. Don't do this to our fans. Let us stay all the way in. See, Boston is really good because them championships that they won, they know how to stay poised and patient, and they can wait. They don't think it's over with until it's over with. When they lose, that's when they know it's over with. See, we get excited. Our kids jump up and down in front of the garden. We got a little dude screaming, wait. Mission 5! But this is us. This is the animation of us, right? If we don't have that, then we can't be us. But now we learning how to balance it, right? As fans, I'm a fan first.
Yeah.
Right? Before I became a Knickerbocker, I was a fan first, right? So I'm down with the same wave. We get excited. But I also understand that we're on a different path and a different quest with this team. Like, this is the reason why people are supporting this team. They're supporting this team and getting behind it because it's real, okay? It's not because we got one guy who can score 50 or me or somebody that can score points and dime. This is a team. This is a real team that we're watching in New York City. And people, they don't really know how to deal with us having a real team, so they kind of want us to break it up because we do that. We don't build on top of the team. We'll do something crazy, but that's not happening. That's why the support is different. And I believe that we're going to take a step that nobody never thought, and I believe we can do it. I believe we are a championship team. We just got to be more consistent. And when we can learn how to be more consistent, where if we lose that game yesterday, we lose because Boston played out of their mind, fans can go home and not think about what the hell just happened. We can literally say, they just played good. We don't want to just say, oh, they just made shots. Nah, we got our ass whooped yesterday. That's what happened. Actually, we got our ass whooped for the last only 2 quarters. We won 2 quarters in those 2 games we won. The 4th quarter, we really won. But the other quarters, we stayed in the game. Now it's time to show our strength. It's time to show our dominance because we have it inside of us. They all got to lock in, and I believe they know that. It's kind of rope-a-dope, but I don't know what part this is because the first 2 games, to me, was rope-a-dope. But last night, we got our ass whooped. Excuse my language, but that's what happened. We got a real natural one last night.
I know that you're stressing the importance of the team. I believe Brunson's going to be awesome tomorrow. Who's the next guy up, in your opinion, that you're really keying on to say, okay, that guy got to break out?
First of all, for our guys off the bench, like Deuce to come in and give that big, monstrous dunk, for that energy to continue to flow, our 5 got to be clicking. They got to get back into their space. And they will. They'll get back clicking. They know what they got to do. They watch film just like we watch the game live. Okay, they got to watch it all over again 3, 4, 5 times, after playing the game. So I'm going with OG. He gotta play more. He gotta play more fierce. Okay, I'm going OG because he can't take 6 shots. I'm telling you, they play like we played at 7, and now they switched the game, and now we playing at 12:30. Oh man, nobody even tell me I don't got my shoes. Oh my God, what happened? No, it doesn't matter what time the game starts. If I start at 12 at night, be ready. You feel me? But now, when I look at OG, and then I look at Big Mitch. Mitch got to do what we seeing online right now. Forget it. If you don't even do what we seeing online with him doing the sham and shooting 3-point shots, if you ain't going to do that, have that in your mind that you could do that. So when you get to the free throw line, those is money. So then now if it's money, oh my, give it to him on a block. Why not? Once or twice. They can't, he's big and strong, and he know he can do it. Everybody that plays in the NBA, they can score. They can go. Some guys get put into roles, and then they don't work on certain things. But he has the ability. When he make those free throws in a guarding chair like that, oh my God, man, that's crazy. That's a wave. That's energy right now. We need that. And we need everybody to beat the Celtics. Don't get it twisted. We are not good enough to beat the Celtics straight out. We're not straight out. We need other things. We need our team because they're already secure with their fan base. That fan base is super solid.
Yeah,
you know what it is, like the Packers, right? Somebody moved from Wisconsin, and somebody find out that they're moving 5 years later. They're already gearing up to try to bid for those tickets, for that one ticket. That's what it is in Boston, right? It's a culture. We're established. We got to get that type of culture established. That, and when we win a championship, that's what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Anytime I see you at the Garden, I know you're rocking those shades. Even when you're not there, I see them online. They look awesome. Tell me a little bit about Camelo.
Hey, it's next wave of the future technology. I'm blessed and thankful that I'm able to give people something that they can use that's different. That's it. It helps elderly people. It helps people my age, almost 50 years old. It helps the young from, what they want to do, from utilizing the application, and they playing music, and also being able to talk on the phone and change the tint from light to dark within 0.9 seconds. I mean, basically, we want people to be able to use the technology in the way that they've never seen it before. Because it's like when people started to learn about shades, right? When people wore eyewear that had shades from regular glasses. I'm sure during that time when people experienced that, they probably were like, wow, I can block the sun, the UV, the ultraviolet can literally block out from my eyes being harmed from the sun. And then now, if you want to block the sun, you can block it. And if there's no sun, you can change it in 0.9 seconds where it goes to light. So now you get the same feeling of what your glasses did when you first put them on without any ultraviolet in front. Now you can do it with. So this is something new that I'm a part of, and I'm blessed and thankful that I get the opportunity to do it.
And by the way, I remember as a kid growing up on Long Island, we'd all rush to Stephen Barry's for those Starberries, the $15 shoes. Is that true that you're bringing them back? I read that online.
I am. I am. But with tariffs, everything when you, you. It's not just but this is what it is, right? I sell shoes. I'm trying to get it back to sell my product at $14.98, but it's other products that sell, that within the price range of $50 to $80, $90.
Yeah.
But $14.98 shoes and clothes, that's something that I did that for people to have access. People that look like me who can't afford to spend, $150 for a pair of kicks. The story doesn't change. I'm from Coney Island, the projects. That's my heart. That's where I'm from. That's the foundation. And for me, when I did what I did, I was trying to make sure that people that live where I live at can at least go buy something that's nice at an affordable price. You know what I'm saying? And be able to be like, I'm good and still be good. So bringing it back is vital. I left to go to China and part of rebuilding my brand.
Sure.
I left. It was a mess when I left, but look at it now. Look at, for me, I look at it as full circle. People are like, yo, you at the Garden? I'm like, man, I'm a Knicks fan. Chill out. At the end of the day, that's what it is. But to bring my brand back, to be back, cheering for my hometown team, it's a lot of things that are taking place to push me to want to bring back Strawberry. So that's another thing that's great as well, what we're doing.
Well, last thing I'll ask you, Stephon Marbury. I love the passion. It's refreshing. It's awesome to talk about the Knicks in a positive way. You're on the Fan in New York City. There's a lot of Knicks fans that are looking for a pump-up speech. What do you got to say leading into Game 4 tomorrow? Go ahead.
Hey. All I'm going to say is this. I would rather be in our spot than their spot, playing in a game tomorrow on our court where they could go 3-1 or tie it. All right? We're not in that spot. So at the end of the day, block out the noise, stay focused, stay locked in, go to the game knowing what you know about your team, not the team that people are telling you about, because they don't even watch us. They got to watch us every night. They got to know us in and out in order to really tell us about us. You feel me? So now go to the game. You watching the game, watch the game like you was watching the game when we was down. Put that same energy, because that's the same energy we going to need when we up. So go for it. They going for it. Trust. They going for it. They locked in. I'm locked in too, as you can see. I'm locked all the way in. All the way in. I can't wait for the game tomorrow.
Are you going?
And it's at the what? Oh, come on, man. Hey, look, I changed this Mother's Day. My mom is sick. My mom fell ill. Please keep my mother, Mabel Marbury, in prayer. She has stage 4 cancer, and she's fighting like a trooper to live. 83 years old. It's amazing. Her testimony is incredible. So if I drove here to see my mom, and I'm driving back to the game, and then I'm driving right back, my mom is like, I already know, so go. She's from New York. She laying in the hospital cheering. And it's a blessing because it pumps her up. And, during these times, when your mom is sick, man, it's hard. It's hard watching your mother sick. But when you got God and He's on the throne and your mom is telling you, don't worry about me, I'm going to be okay. You worry about you. And I'm like, wow, why are you laying in the beds, fighting? But don't worry about us. Pray for us. That's the best way to look at it. Knicks, keep fighting. They're going to go for it. They're going to bring the energy tomorrow. All right? They're going to bring the energy tomorrow, and we're going for it. Let's go. Let's go Knicks, baby.
Well, Steph, much love, good wishes, and hope everything turns out okay with your mom. Thanks so much, and appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. Love. Easy. Love.
Powerful stuff right there with Stephon Marbury. Got a chance to catch up with him yesterday, and we wanted to play that conversation for you today. Nothing but the best to the Marbury family during this difficult time, and we send our prayers to them. And that will also do it today for the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Big thanks once again to Stephon Marbury for joining us, in addition to my crew and Michael Samter, Stuart Kovacs, and Rich Ackerman, and each and every one of you for tuning into the program, however you do consume it. We will be back tomorrow for a very busy Tuesday show at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. We'll talk to you then, everybody. Have a safe night. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.